Hi everybody, I'm back. I know it's been a while since I've done a video. When you get to the end of a project, it's kind of like you sort of mentally want to just sort of put it to bed. Sort of like coming to the end of a book where you are about to start a new book and you're not quite ready to put those characters away yet. So it took me a little bit of time to kind of mentally wrap myself around doing a new project, and this one's going to be much shorter. In fact, it might be a series of projects in this area. And so that's why it took a while. And then our lives changed again with all the riots breaking out and everything. And so, when there's a pandemic and you're forced to stay at home, there's coping that goes on there. I was more worried about people's mental health and emotional health and everything. And so I thought this is a really great thing to do while we're all stuck at home so that, people are happier, safer, whatever. And then the riots broke out for the Black Lives Matter movement. And that, I don't know, I felt like making crochet videos during something that important felt trivial. So I didn't want to trivialize what was happening in our world right now. But I do believe, and now that it's been like 5 days of rioting, I believe that we all still need those coping mechanisms because no matter what you feel about what's going on out there, we're all kind of in a state of confusion and just upset about everything going on. So for me, my way of coping is crocheting, spending time with my family. I spend a lot of time with my family. In fact, my daughter and I'm dressed like this because my daughter and I are about to go out on a hike. Being in nature is very important to me. It's kind of what keeps me from losing my mind sometimes. And so we're gonna go do a hike. But in addition to that, I've also been crocheting a lot. I've just been like, keep me safe and happy. So it's been crazy for me. I hope that crocheting is helping you cope. Everybody has different coping mechanisms. I try to find the healthiest that I can. So crocheting and hiking are my two that I rely on, and spending time with my kids and my husband. So anyway, this is our next project. And I actually have two. They kind of go together. We talked about doing a washcloth or a dishcloth, and that's what the pattern for this actually is. But I elongated it because for me, I don't use dishcloths. In fact, I don't like to touch dishes. So I have like a sponge with the scrubby on a handle, so I don't have to actually get my hands in there. But also I feel like dishcloths are, they gather mold and, they're wet all the time and whatever. So but I do always have a cloth on my sink where we're always drying our hands or we're drying off dishes or whatever. And so I call them kitchen cloths instead. So mine are just a little bit elongated. I've made many over the years. In fact, here, let me show you the one I was going off for size. This is actually Tunisian crochet. When I was practicing my Tunisian crochet stitches, I was trying to learn how to do that. And so yes, and my kids actually love these because they're super duper absorbent. They're like better than most towels that you buy at the store. So, and Tunisian crochet is a little different because it's super tight stitches, where these are kind of open. But I love Waffle stitch. It's my favorite. It took me a while to remember how to do it correctly, but anyway, it's one of my favorite stitches. It's got a lot of texture and it's like very 3D. So it's fun. So we're gonna start with that. You can make it a kitchen cloth or you can make it a dishcloth, whatever you prefer. And then I don't know if this is gonna be a second video or maybe I'll just do it on this one. This shouldn't take too long. So I might be able to fit both of these onto one video. But then this is the hot pad or the you could actually use this also as a kitchen cloth or a washcloth because it's basically the same thing. It just has a little thing on it to hook it with. And this is super easy, like super duper easy. You could make tons of these and give them out as gifts if you want, or just have a different color for any time of year, whatever makes you happy. But so I will be doing these two next on this video. I don't know, crocheting makes me feel like I'm putting my life back into control somehow. Bringing all those stitches together makes it feel more doable sometimes. So we're gonna do this, and that'll be what I work on when we come back from our hike today. So you won't get to see me all sweaty and gross. This is like pre-hike look, and then post-hike look will just be my hands working on stuff. So anyway, we'll get started when I get back. Bye. Okay guys, so here's what we're gonna do. This is the first one we're gonna work on. I found a different pattern from the original pattern that I showed you a picture of because that one just looked, it was just so confusing. I couldn't get the numbers to work out right. So I found a different pattern. It's a little bit easier to follow. Just a couple of things I want to tell you about. First of all, it's super important that you use cotton for your yarn. So 100% cotton instead of acrylic, because if you use acrylic, it's super duper stretchy and you don't want it to be stretchy. And also if you use cotton, it's going to be absorbent, where acrylic is not absorbent at all. It'll just push the water all around. So it won't even be helpful. It'll be pretty, but it won't be helpful. So 100% cotton is the way to go on this. The one thing about 100% cotton though is that it will shrink. So what you want to do when you wash these is you want to either, you can wash them in cold water and then dry them flat, or you can just wash them and then put them, dry them on delicate, is what I usually do. This is not the same, this didn't start off the same width, but it does shrink inward and goes in this way too. So just kind of keep that in mind. You might want it to be a little bit wider than what you want it to start off with, just in case you mess up and dry it on normal. So, or you can also just dry it flat. And then what I do, if I dry it flat, is I'll just throw it in the, after it's dry, I'll throw it in the dryer just to fluff it up a little bit, because what you're basically doing is you're blocking it by drying it flat, and that just makes it like kind of stiff. So, you know, you kind of want it to be nice and soft. But anyway, so those are just some tips about the yarn and how to work that. What we're gonna do, I'm gonna pretend like this is the first video I've done for you guys, because I know some people who are starting out may choose to do this project first before they do the blanket, which is totally fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and teach you how to chain again, and I'm gonna teach you how to double crochet into the chain across, and that's how we're gonna get started. So the first thing you wanna do, on the pattern, it tells you to start with an H hook, which is the hook we used for most of what we did on our blanket. It's a nice like middle of the road hook, but I found that when I used the H hook, it was like this wide and it was super wide. So, and also the stitches were really loose and I kind of wanted them to be a little tighter. So I decided to go down one to a G hook. You can do either, whatever makes you happy. Just know that if you do an H, it's gonna be pretty wide. And that might be exactly what you want. So I went down to a G hook just to make it a little bit skinnier, just more the shape that I was looking for. So we're gonna start with a slip knot here, just like that. And then we're going to go ahead and chain 32. So one, and to chain, just in case this is your first time, chaining is super easy. All you do is you just wrap around and pull through, wrap around, pull through. Just like that until you get to 32 chains. I'll do it a couple more times in front of the camera and then I'll speed it up for you. Try and keep your stitches nice and loose because you are going to be double crocheting into this chain, and if they're really tight, it makes it very hard to get into that chain. Okay, so there's 32 right there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to double crochet into the third chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, that's the one you're going into. And to double crochet, remember you wrap once, and then you're going to go into the hook. You're going to have 1 yarn on the bottom and 2 yarns on the top so that you have that V up there. So 1 down there, 2 on top. Pull through and then wrap it, pull through, and then wrap it and pull through again. And that is a double crochet. I'm going to do a couple more times for you. Wrap it, pull through. So you can see that there's 1 string on the bottom and 2 strings on top. Wrap it, pull through, wrap it, pull through again. Just like that. We're going to go all the way to the end. Okay, so when you get to the end, you should have, if I did this right, you should have 30 double crochets. So when it says 30 double crochets, it means the actual double crochets, not the chain up on the side, I believe. So let's just continue on, and if If it doesn't work out, then I'll just redo it, right? So it's one of the great things about crochet. So as we're going to go into the second round here, we're just going to chain 1, and then we're going to turn it. And then you're going to, this is where it starts to get fun. So we're going to double crochet, same stitch, right? And that's sort of your outside stitch, I believe. And then you're going to front post double crochet. So this is something new for you guys. And what this is basically you're gonna wrap it like you're gonna double crochet, but instead of going into here like you normally would, you're gonna go through this post right here. You're gonna wrap it, pull it up, and then finish your double crochet just like normal. And what that does is it creates a line, if I can get a hold of the yarn, creates a line going up that side. So that's the beginning of your waffle stitch. Then we're going to do 2 double crochets in the next 2 stitches. So just regular ones. So 1, 2, and then we're going to do the front post double crochet again on the next stitch, the very next one. So you're going to wrap it, go underneath it, like the whole stitch. You're going to just take that bar and call that a stitch. Pull it through, wrap and pull through 2, wrap and pull through another 2. And then we're going to repeat that all the way across until we get to the end. Hopefully the numbers are going to work out okay. So, oops, sorry, don't know why I just did that. Double crochet into the next one. Actually, the next 2. And then front post double crochet. So you're basically doing 3 stitches on repeat. So 2 double crochet, front post double crochet. Okay, so you get to the end, and the last thing you want to do is a double crochet in the last stitch. And that is because we're making a little border around the outside of the waffle. So I don't know if you can see that, but so you have the outside, the ones that stick out, and then you have a little border on the outside of that. And we are going to now flip it, and we're going to do the second part, the second half. So a waffle stitch is actually a 2-row repeat. I don't think we've done that yet, or actually we did do that on the blanket. We did that with the stacking shells, the balanced shell stitch. But basically you're going to do 1 row and then a second row to finish the stitch, and then you're going to repeat those until you get to the end. So row 3, we're going to chain 1, flip it, and then you can see where these ones stick out and this one is behind. That's where we're going to basically do some switching here. So, okay, so they're calling this the first stitch, which is the chain up. So we're going to DC in the first stitch. And then we're going to DC in this stitch, which is the front post on the other side, but on this side we're just going to DC, which is double crochet. And then we're going to do our front post double crochets, but we're going to do them in the 2 stitches here that were our regular double crochets on the other side. So we're basically doing the opposite. So front post double crochet. I love front posts because it's almost like you can draw a line down your entire work if you wanted to. I've made stars with them, and it makes things a lot of fun. So what that does on this side is it creates a ridge, and that's the beginning of your waffle. It's gonna look really cool. So then on the next stitch, you're gonna just do a regular double crochet. And then the next two, you're gonna do front post. And just know that the back of your waffle doesn't look like a waffle. It just looks kind of cool, but the waffle is on the front. In fact, this is what the back of your waffle looks like, almost like a double waffle, if that makes sense. But so that's what we're going for. So double crochet, and then 2 front post double crochets, and then I'll meet you at the end. Okay, so you're going to go all the way across like this until 2 stitches remain on the end, just like on this side. There's going to be 2 DCs there. So one is the outside of your waffle, and the other one is your border around the outside. So 2 double crochets. This one, the stitch might be a little strange because it's actually kind of the top of that chain 3 or chain 2. So that's what the back should look like. So you should have a nice little border of 2 double crochets on either side, and then you have the little sections of 2 front post double crochets together. So the front of your waffle should look like that. So you can start to see like how that ridge, there's the bottom square, this is going to be the next square. So I'm going to do one more row for you so you can see exactly how the waffle is going to form and what it's going to look like. And then I will take it off camera and finish it, and then I'll show you how to do the border. So it just says repeat round 2 and round 3 for a total of 16 rows. You can do it, what I would say is however wide, however many squares you have in the middle, I would kind of leave a border on the outside. So I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 squares. If you want a square waffle, then obviously you want 9 up too, and then a border on the outside. So I'm going to do mine long like this, so I'll just copy that so that they match, and we'll go from there. So that's basically it. Just repeat both of those rows. I'm going to do the first, or the row 2 again for you so you can see the actual waffle start to shape. So you're going to DC right here. This is part of your border on the outside. And then you're going to front post right there. So you're continuing that line. See, it just literally feels like you're drawing a line right there. And then 2 double crochets, regular ones. And then front post. So remember that you go under the whole post. You don't go in this top part, you just go under the whole post. Grab that. And then grab another one, pull it through. And then 2 regular double crochets. Okay, I'm going to keep going. I'll meet you at the end. Okay, here we are at the end. So we've got our ridge here and our ridge here. We're going to do 1 double crochet at the top of here for our border. And there you go. So hopefully you can see that. I know I'm using white and that makes it a little bit harder to see, but see how there's like a grid going on here. So the next section that you do when you flip it, you're going to do the opposite of what you did on this side. And that's basically going to bump this out so it makes a little ridge just like that. And you'll just have little squares going all the way up. It's super cool looking, and it's just got a cool texture to it. So I'm going to go ahead and just remember when you turn it, you're only going to chain up once, which feels weird to me, but that just makes it nice and clean on the sides. And then you're going to do your border double crochet, and then the one for the back of your front post double crochet, and then 2 front post double crochets all the way across. And just keep doing those 2 rows over and over again till you make it as long as you want it to. And then I will meet you at the end and we'll talk about the border, which is super easy and will be actually really fast. Okay, you guys, so here is what it looks like when I'm almost complete. Again, I made mine longer because I wanted it to be more of a kitchen cloth than a dishcloth. So I actually, on the pattern, it wanted you to repeat row 2 and row 3 until you got to the length that you wanted it to be. I actually did row 2, row 3, and then I finished with row 2 because the bottom, I wanted the bottom and the top to be about the same length. And if you just did row 3, it was kind of off. So I finished on the front instead of the back. And we are down to the last part of it. So just in case, once again, just in case this is the first video that you're watching or the first project you're doing with us, I wanted to go over just kind of how to finish it, how to weave in your ends, and then we'll start on the border of it, just in case you hadn't watched the other videos yet. So I'm just finishing this up with 2 double crochets in the last little square. And then a front post double right there. And then a double, just a regular double crochet on your border. And then to finish it, we're just gonna chain 1 like that, and then pull this out, and then we're gonna cut that off. And chaining 1 pretty much locks it. It's like doing a knot without actually having a hard knot there. Okay, so that's what it looks like, just the waffle stitch part. Now, if you want to do your edge in the same color, you get more of a waffle look to it. In fact, you'll see, I think there's pictures in there, or I'm thinking of the first one. I'll show you both of the patterns, but this one, the second one with the gray on it, is actually a little bit easier to follow. But she did one in kind of a light yellow that looked like a waffle, and then she just did the edging in just that same color and made them square, and they look like huge waffles. They were kind of cute. But I'm gonna do it in an offsetting color because I want it to match, to kind of go with our pot holders that we're gonna do next. So they kind of are a set. So all you do to get started, what I do is I pick a corner, but I don't actually start in the corner. I start just before the corner. That way, when you join them together, it won't be so obvious when you're in the corner. So I start like a stitch before, and then this is the actual corner right here. So we're gonna do, actually, you know what? I'm not gonna do the stitches. I'm gonna do in between. Yeah, I'm not gonna try and go into the stitch. I'm gonna go into the space created by the stitch because there are so many like odd stitches in here. And then you're just gonna pull this up, chain 1, and that's the beginning. And then I just did a single crochet all the way around. So you can single crochet in the next stitch, which happens to be the corner. And again, I'm not gonna try and go into the chain. I'm gonna go into the space created. So you're actually going in between the double crochets. Bring it up, single crochet, and then I do 3 in the corners. 2, 3. So it's nice and full like that. And then you just go down the edge, just kind of evenly spaced out so that they don't, if you try to do too many in one stitch, it'll start to buckle because you have like just too much going on. So you want them to kind of be evenly spaced. Obviously the sides are going to be a little bit more challenging to see than the ends, because the ends are obviously the stitches are very easy, but you'll start to get the hang of it because you'll be like, okay, well, you can fit 2 stitches in there. This one you should probably just fit 1. You'll get the hang of it, how you want it to look. And then you go back to this has 2 stitches again. You just once in a while look back at your stitch and make sure they look like they're pretty even. They're not too cluttered. You're not trying to cram too many stitches in there, more stitches than there should fit. Otherwise, like I said, they'll start to buckle and not look nice and straight. This one, I hesitate. I know it seems like I should just go down here, but this is like 2 poles right here, and I don't want to go down too far, or otherwise the stitch will look really long compared to the other ones. You want them to kind of all look the same. So when we get to the corner, you want to just do 3 single crochets into that corner so that it's nice and full all the way around. And then just continue on. This will be easy because you're just going to go in between each of these double crochets. So how you guys doing? I'm like, my emotions are kind of all over the place these days. I honestly did not think that we would be in a pandemic this long. I did not think that we would have all this other stuff going on and all the riots and the protests and everything. And it's just, for someone like me, it's hard because I tend to kind of pick up on the emotions of people around me, and watching people fight on Facebook has not been good for my heart. So I have been sort of hiding behind my crochet lately, trying to educate myself at the same time, but I just do not want to jump into all of the fights going on Facebook right now. And you know, we've got so much kind of converging at one time between all of this, between the Black Lives Matter movement and all the politics going on because of the election, which is, this election just seems so crazy to me. And it's just like, it's a little overwhelming. So I don't know, you can probably tell from the sound of my voice that I'm like less excited than I was when we started doing this. And it's not because I'm less excited to do projects with you guys. It's because I'm not really sure where my emotions are supposed to be right now. So anyway, I just, asking how you guys are doing, because remember we started this because we wanted it to be sort of a social thing we could do while we were all cooped up in the house. And they're starting to let us out now, which is nice, but I mean, do we even want to go out, is the thing. So anyway, just kind of let me know how you're feeling, and if crochet is helping you, or if there's another outlet that you found that is maybe helping you too. That would be cool, because we are a social group and we're here to support each other. Okay, I don't know if you saw that, but I just made the other corner. So anyway, I'm just going to continue on, but that's how it's going to look. And I will continue on. I'll meet you at the end. And then we'll start this guy right here, which is super easy. And yeah, I'll see you when we get there. Here we go. Okay, so I've already done this stitch, and then I went over to this one. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab the top of that stitch right there, pull the yarn through both of them. It's called joining with a slip stitch. And that is what it looks like. And then you just chain one, kind of finishes it off. Pull up a little. And then weave in your ends. So cute, huh? It's always fun to get a new kitchen cloth. And I have 2. Check it out. Okay, I'm gonna weave in my ends real quick and then we will start on this one right here.